Under the sky to rob, steal, or kill. I'm wondering why it's a dirty game. Is any man worthy of fame? My success to you, even if you wish me the opposite. Sooner or later, we'll all see who the prophet is.
Good luck.
When I started the story mode on Star Fox Zero, I almost cried a little. Nostalgia slapped me right in the face, and hard too. All I could do was smile as I took control of the R-Wing, and those old familiar faces with their classic catchphrases started gracing my ears. Star Fox Zero is a reimagining of the classic Nintendo 64 game Star Fox 64. It is to this day regarded as one of the system's best games, and that's saying a lot coming from a system that had quite amazing games. As a personal side note, I was a huge Star Fox 64 fan. I played it through at least once a day as a young kid. So with that being said, when I heard about Star Fox Zero, it was a big deal for me. It is a Nintendo exclusive franchise and it's only available on the Wii U. It was released April 22nd, 2016 and developed by Platinum Games. If that name doesn't ring a bell, it's the team behind Vanquish, one of my favorite games. Also Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising, just to name a few. Sure, there were some Star Fox games in the past years, but nothing is close to Star Fox 64. So is this the game that I've been waiting almost 12 years for? So, was it really worth the wait? The answer is, well, yeah. Years ago, there was a mad scientist named Andros. He was crazy and made all kinds of crazy experiments and, well, almost killed everyone. General Pepper captured him, and he exiled the mad scientist to a remote planet named Venom, which is at the end of the Lilat system. After a couple of years, there's some strange activity coming from Venom. In steps James McCloud, who is the leader of the Star Fox team. Alongside him was Peppy Hare and Pigma Dengar. They go to investigate. Upon arrival, it's apparent that Andros is up to no good, but by that time, it's too late. James McCloud is betrayed by Pigma, and he ends up sacrificing himself so that Peppy Hare can escape. He does, and he tells Fox, son of James McCloud, of his father's fate. A few years later, Andros sets out on a full attack throughout the Lilat system. General Pepper and the Cornerian army are not winning, so he summons the Star Fox team, which now consists of Fox McCloud, son of James McCloud, Peppy Hare, Falco Lombardi, and Slippy Toad. You and your team go to the rescue of Corneria, which is under attack. After settling things there, you fight your way through the Lilat system to confront Andros, and end his reign of terror and also to avenge your father. From your teammates to loving you and also getting angry for you accidentally shooting them or stealing their kills, you fight through the Lilat system. This is no Quentin Tarantino movie. It's silly, child-friendly banter between you, your teammates, friends along the way, bosses and enemies, and even your arch-nemesis Starwolf and his team. It's a lighthearted, straightforward story of go after the bad guy, and I loved it when I played Star Fox 64, and hey, I loved it here. There isn't a lot of time to deal with the plot. Like a lot of Nintendo games, it has the same setup as before, but just a new way to enjoy it. So once again, you have a simple setup. To me, they're this type of game, it works perfectly. Nintendo is really good about taking the same story over and over, just somehow making it better, and that's pretty much the case here. Star Fox visuals look amazing, bright vivid colors, fast-paced action, tons of different environments. Going through the Lilat system gives you plenty of beautiful areas to shoot down the bad guys. In my opinion, I felt they took what Star Fox 64 had and they improved on it, rather than going and trying to scrap it and start fresh. I think it was a great design choice. It gives it a new edge but keeping that classic feel to it. I also feel this is them paying homage to the great Star 64, with the iconic boxes with choppy video of your friends and foes coming up with text of what they're saying, to our butterfly, sharp-edged spacecrafts, and beautiful landscapes in the distance with buildings crumbling around you. From a nostalgic point of view, I loved it, and even if this is your first time around the block with Star Fox, I highly doubt there is anything you can find to complain about. Yes, the dialogue is kind of corny, but I kind of feel that's what gives Star Fox its charm. I honestly love it when you shoot down an enemy and they scream about how impossible that you're that good, or your teammates cheering you on. Kind of gave me like a Dragon Ball Z vibe.
Actually, I'm just getting warmed up. A wise guy, huh? Let's see here. What, 140,000? No! It can't be! I think your friend's having a nervous breakdown. He's just cooling off tonight. He'll be back.
The action never really let down, and neither do the frame rates. Smooth animation when Fox and his crew's ships transform, to ships taking damage and showing it, there's a huge amount of detail. I did have a few times where things slowed down dramatically during a huge boss fight. I noticed it, but it didn't really bother me that much. It didn't affect my gameplay. But other than those two random times, all ran very, very smoothly. All dialogue comes through the speaker on the gamepad.
Urgent message from General Pepper.
Star Fox, do you read me? We're under attack from Andros' army. We need your help immediately.
We'll take the job. Andros won't be getting his way this time.
Which I think was a cool idea. Gives you the feel of the communications actually coming through to you, to your ship. Kind of gives you a real cool sense of immersion. At the end of the day, Platinum Games doesn't disappoint. I think they did the Star Fox universe justice in how it's presented to us. When it comes to the gameplay, that's what so many people love Star Fox 64 for. When it comes to Star Fox Zero, they changed up the way you play. It's different, and anything with change, people can hate it just because, but for me personally, I loved it. I thought what they did was very clever to incorporate the gamepad. At heart, Star Fox Zero is a rail shooter, but there are different areas that let you switch up how you play. There's classic third-person behind perspective, where you have a set path and you just go forward and take out enemies. You use the right trigger to shoot lasers, hold down and you can lock on to targets. What's new here is that the gamepad allows you to move your reticle around the battlefield with the gyroscope that's inside the gamepad. The screen on your gamepad is basically your cockpit view, like a POV. There's also free range mode, where you're in a boxed-in area and you can fly around where you want, within the space allowed to kill baddies or complete objectives. The reticle movement is still done with the gamepad, and now you can do somersaults and turnaround maneuvers that are mapped to a button. That way it's easy to get away from enemies or get turned around to get where you need to go. While using the air wing, you can transform at any time to a walker state, which basically lets you land and walk about and still have the same functions as your air wing. It's very useful in some situations and actually very cool. You can board huge enemy ships and take it out from the inside by blowing up its core, and then get to the edge, jump out and transform back into an R wing to fly away before it explodes. The Landmaster makes a return, which is basically a tank, but this time it can transform into a plane as long as you have boost. It also has its rail sections as well as that free range mode. Now there's a gyro ring. It's new to the Star Fox world. It's basically a helicopter. It can shoot and do all that as well. It's a lot slower. It has a rob robot that can be dropped out of the bottom that can land and hack into terminals and explore little areas as long as your core is long enough. The gyro ring missions are interesting, they just seemed out of place in this game. When things just start getting cooking, you have to slow it down and take on a mission to not be seen, which in my opinion kind of breaks the pacing. At last we have the cockpit areas. These are frustrating. I can see the idea behind it, and don't get me wrong, they're cool but difficult. So in these sections you have to fly your ship on screen. There is no reticle, all your aiming must be done through the gamepad, which is your cockpit view, which basically means you need to watch two screens at once. It's very frustrating because you get wrapped up into shooting and not realizing you're about to run into a wall, and by that time it's too late, you've taken damage. Or when you see a laser powering up and you do move on the gamepad but look up and see you're taking damage as you did not move far enough to one side to be out of harm's way. So all these sections combined in one game, it's awesome. I think the new controls definitely have a learning curve, but after a couple of hours, I saw what they were going for and I actually really started to love the new controls. It gives you a lot of control of your crafts. However, there are sections that I feel it was just not fitted for. The last boss is such a pain, and not because he's really that difficult, it's because the controls at this point are your biggest enemy. But when you get the hang of it, it's a blast. Star Fox is a short game. I think my first run through lasted about 6 hours or so, just me trying to get the hang of the controls, but that's not where it ends. Getting high scores is the name of the game here. Going back to retry a level and get a higher score is always fun. Also, every level has different paths to go, if you find the right hidden switch or complete something fast enough. So yeah, this game is short, but there's so many different paths to go on every time you lay. Some levels have hidden pathways to lead to a different boss or different end, and some will take you on a completely different path throughout the game. There are lots of different ways to get through the story. Also, going back to get that medal on a planet of obtaining the high score is very satisfying. I haven't done it here yet as I need much more practice, but on Star Fox 64, I had a medal on all the planets. It's a game you need to go back and play over and over and able to do so. But to put it in perspective, as soon as the credits rolled, I was immediately wanting to jump right back in and do it all over just to find a new path or complete something I wasn't able to just because I wasn't that good yet with the controls. All in all, Star Fox Zero is a blast. It's fun, fast-paced gameplay is a treat for us Star Fox lovers and even to newcomers alike. I find the gameplay can become addicting, and that's a good thing, as going back to play the game over and over is what it's designed for. The gameplay is the star of the show. It steals the spotlight. If you love Star Fox on the SNES or even Star Fox 64, yes, you should. You know the setup, you know the drill, and here's a new way to experience it. If you've never played Star Fox, trust me, it's damn fun. Yes, it can be frustrating, playing over and over is the best way to enjoy the game. It is short, but the point is to go back over and over and to experience it different ways, and being able to get higher scores. If it doesn't sound like your cup of tea to you, then trust me, Star Fox isn't for you. If you only like to complete a game and move on, then a $60 price tag is not going to be justice to what's here. But at the end of the day, the very short campaign is a ton of fun to play, with some very frustrating moments, but as well as some completely amazing moments. It's not the best visual game that Wii has to offer, but it holds its own. So all in all, Star Fox to me was a great experience. I enjoyed it and I loved it. So Kamikaze Soundwaves, hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time. Later.